So here we are in the green room at the ABC with Rick Birch, and we're waiting to go on the radio. Should be great fun this morning.
Cacophony of sound and entertainment, and I was dazzled by what was on display as part of Expo 88.
All those things, and little pieces of Expo are scattered around Brisbane as a lasting reminder.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
Craig,
gents,
yes,
how are
I'm
you?
going well.
Good to see you, Peter.
Sounds like Elvis will be seen again.
Yeah,
You're living in
absolutely.
the States, aren't you? You're living in the States and doing your TV and film production.
I'm semi-retired there. I'm actually doing the World Cup cricket ceremony in Sydney next month.
Oh, good.
Hard Quiz next Wednesday at 8 on ABC TV and iView.
Do you want to pick this up, Larry?
ABC Radio Britain.
With Craig and Loretta, thanks for joining us right around the state. It's 6:20. Now, Expo 88, some of you may have come to Brisbane for Expo 88. It was a 6-month party, really.
Yeah, you were about to say it was wild.
It was
weren't you?
wild, that chicken dance in the German Pavilion. Look, it might be long gone, but of course for those of us who were lucky to experience it firsthand, it really was something we'll never forget.
Yeah, I was 4 at the time.
Okay, thanks.
Came down a couple of times from Rockhampton to Brisbane. It was my first ever trip on an electric train, the Spirit of Capricorn, the train was called. And as a little kid, it was just superb. It was like this cacophony of sound and entertainment, and I was dazzled by what was on display as part of Expo 88.
All those things, and little pieces of Expo are scattered around Brisbane as a lasting reminder. And yesterday, another one of the iconic sculptures from that time was unveiled at Caboolture.
Oh yeah, which is home to the big Australia sign that you might remember.
Because of you and Rebecca, you found the sign.
It was found in a canal paddock, pretty much, and was salvaged and rescued and has been given a new lease on life at the Caboolture Historical Village. But that's also where this other piece of artwork has gone. Peter Racy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Craig. Good morning, Loretta.
What piece of art are we talking about this time around?
It is a stunning piece of art. It's called Saving Captain Bligh. It was the largest set piece from the Human Factor series that was produced by John Underwood in his creative Art Buster studio at Spring Hill, which has now been heritage listed thanks to the Brisbane City Council, I might add.
Oh, there you go. You are still as excited about Expo 88 now in 2020 as you were in 88.
I tell you what, because it gives you the opportunity to meet great intellect like Rick Birch, that is sitting next to me here, who is far more interesting to talk to than I am, I can guarantee it.
Well, what an introduction for you, Rick Birch. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning there, Craig. And Loretta, it's a bit early in the morning to be thinking about intellect. It's more about coffee right now.
Well, you were part of that unveiling yesterday at Caboolture. Do the Expo 88 memories come flooding back to you as well?
Well, yeah, Expo 88 memories never leave me. It really was a great time, not just for the visitors, but for the people behind it. We lived Expo for 6 months.
Yeah, lived, breathed and everything else, and then were in need of a very good holiday afterwards. Is that the story, Rick?
More or less. I've been very lucky. I do a lot of events and go from one to the next, so I didn't need much of a break.
Do a lot of events, yeah, of course. Olympic ceremonies, and you're internationally regarded as an expert of the ceremonies. But when you look back at the Expo 88, what was the brief you were given?
Well, I was asked in Los Angeles after the LA Games in '84 by Bob Minikin, who was the general manager of Expo. And he came to LA and asked if I'd do an expo, and basically I said, what's an expo? And he explained. And then he said, I want you to do the entertainment. And I said, okay, what's that going to involve? And he said, well, the opening ceremony, the closing ceremony, and everything in between. So that was a pretty good brief.
So where do you start with that?
Well, I did a press conference in Brisbane at the opening of the launch when they announced my appointment, which was January '85. And I was stuck in the room at the Expo Centre and looking out the window and saw the Brisbane River when a journalist said, so what are you going to do, Rick? What's the opening ceremony going to be like? And I said, well, I see pink submarines. And for no reason at all, I was looking at the river and I kind of visualised pink submarines coming out of the water. Didn't quite work like that, but we did have a pink submarine at the opening.
You had plenty of talent to draw on to, musicians in terms of seekers. John Farnham, I think. What?
Yeah, we had a roster of high profile people. Joe Cocker was another one, and that was every can't remember now if it was Friday night or Saturday night. I think it was Saturday night on the river stage. But we had a non-stop program of entertainment. One of the great delights was that I really could start with nothing and then just create the various pieces of entertainment that went on. We had a river stage, we had the piazza, we had the aquacade, which turned out to be the most popular single show. But we had, over a period of 6 months, we had more than 55,000 entertainers accredited for Expo.
55,000 entertainers. It just shows the sheer scale of Expo. And where we're sitting now is the site of Expo, where the ABC office is the former Expo 88 site. Rick Birch, you have been involved in ceremonies around the world. Olympic Games in the mix. Does that mean you'd be interested in signing up for an Olympic bid in 2032?
Yeah.
Should Brisbane and Queensland play host there?
Well, yeah, I've been really interested in hearing about the bid for 32 because Brisbane did try for the 92 games,
Yeah,
which ended
that's
up
right.
going to Barcelona, which I was executive producer of the ceremonies for, so my loyalties are a little split. But yeah, it's great to hear that Brisbane is bidding for 32. Things are very different in the Olympic movement now. They make the choice much earlier. There are different criteria involved in a bid city, and I think overall Brisbane has to have a pretty good chance.
From your perspective as that creative director, how do you make every show that you do bigger and better than the one before? Because that's almost the expectation, isn't it?
Well, yeah, maybe the expectation. It's all in the end to do with time and budget. you know.
Yeah.
And luckily the budgets keep growing. But the ceremonies that I've done, Barcelona was the one that I look back most fondly on. Beijing in 2008 was very, a lot of impact. We had 25,000 soldiers in the show. So it was a very grand occasion, and it was the launch of China on the world. They're all different, all
Yeah.
the ceremonies.
But you draw on the emotion of people too, where they live. The Commonwealth Games, 82, Matilda and the Wink. I was there with my mum watching that opening ceremony. So how do you draw on that emotion?
Well, there's no secret. Anyone can do it. You just go and sit in the stadium or the location, wherever it is, and start imagining the ceremony.
And
Then make it happen.
what's important to people, especially Australians, if they're out of games?
Yeah, I don't know. I go to different cities. I live in whichever city I'm working in. You get to meet the local people. You get a feel for where their passions, their pride comes from, and then try and interpret it.
Rick Birch, we could talk ceremonies all day and all night. Peter Racy, I have to ask, what other Expo gems are still lying in wait somewhere around Brisbane, southeast Queensland, or more broadly that you're hoping to uncover?
Well, the Brisbane City Council, after that effort led by the ABC, still has two, the American Photographer and the Sad Clown. The largest project is saving a 3,770 square metre structure from the RNA, which was the roof over the World Expo 88 Fun Park. And I'm hoping to save that and relocate it out at Longreach, but they're not showing too much interest. Billawheeler possibly. Kingaroy is really keen to get that, but the further it goes out, the more entrenched becomes the world's largest legacy footprint, which is the logo and the marketing stamps that the BIE granted to Queensland in November 13th, as it was last year, which is a feather in the cap of our group.
It most certainly is. Well, there are pieces of Expo spread far and wide across Queensland. Peter, always good to catch up. The latest unveiling, that happened at the Caboolture Historical Village. It's where the big Australia sign found a new home as well. Thanks for joining us this morning, and Rick, lovely to catch up. What's the next big event on your calendar?
Well, as it happens, I'm here to do a ceremony for the women. It's a World Cup for the women's cricket in Sydney on February 21.
Oh, just a couple of weeks away. There you
Great.
go. Rick, thanks so much. Lovely to see you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
guys.
much, gents. Just bear with me for 2 seconds. I just need to throw to news here.
Everything's good. Streaming now at abc.net.au/.
Barcelona was the one that I look back most fondly on. Beijing in 2008 was very, a lot of impact. We had 25,000 soldiers in the show.